O Lord, you have searched me and know me. You know when I sit down and when I rise up. You discern my thoughts from far away. You search out my path and my lying down, and are acquainted with all my ways. Even before a word is on my tongue, O Lord, you know it completely. You hem me in behind and before, and lay your hand upon me. Such knowledge is too wonderful for me. It is so high that I cannot attain it. Where can I go from your spirit, or where can I flee from your presence?
Brilliant. Thank you, Luke, so much for bringing us our Bible reading today. There is so much to think about in this passage, in this psalm, but this morning I want to focus in on just one little bit of this psalm. You hem me in. Okay, so that's the bit we're going to be thinking about today. But before we do that, I'm a big fan of hide and seek. Our youth group here is a big fan of hide and seek. We play it nearly every week. And is Richard Bevan here? Richard, cover your ears for me. Can you hear me, Richard? He can't hear me. Okay, cool. Our young people have some ridiculous hiding spaces. One time they emptied out the fridge and got in the fridge and hid all the items in the fridge so that no one could find them. They've climbed onto the extractor fans in the kitchen. They've climbed up things. They've climbed out of things. They've hidden in places I didn't know were possible for people to squeeze their bodies into. They love hide and seek. I love hide and seek. And I'm interested to know, I would like you to get into some small groups around you, just the people you're next to, and share in your group what is the best hide and seek place that you have ever had. Okay, and then we'll share together to see who's going to be the winner for hide and seek. Okay, right. Put your hand up if you think someone in your group has got a very good hiding spot. But it doesn't have to be in the church. It can be anywhere they found before. Rufus, where's your best hiding spot?
It's in a cupboard in a box.
In a cupboard in a box. Fantastic. Okay, Ruth.
My sister once hid on the downstairs toilet windowsill of Eleanor's parents' house behind the curtains, and it was a great hiding place until Eleanor's grandfather came in to use the toilet.
A wonderful shared experience. Molly.
It took about at least half an hour for my cousins to find me, and there was this tiny windowsill that I was on, and I was holding the handle of the window, and it was quite painful.
Half an hour? I'm up for a bit of peace and quiet. I'm up for that. Ben, where's your best hiding spot been?
The lock for the cupboard thingy was unlocked and no one noticed. We were playing hide and seek with the whole class, and I hid in there, and they had to ask me to come out because they couldn't find me.
Hide and seek at school during school hours. I like that one. I'm here for that. Archie, what was yours?
When I went to Turkey, I hid in the swimming pool.
I thought you were going to say I went to Turkey and that was my best hide, and your parents stayed behind. No, amazing. You hid in the swimming pool at Turkey. Rue, last one.
So I was at my grandparents' house, and they have a washing basket. It had all blue clothes in it, and I had a blue hoodie, so I put all of my hood, and basically I just went into there and pretended to be dirty washing.
Pretending to be dirty washing. Camouflage. Fantastic. I'm sure we've got... Okay, Alba, last one, Alba.
I hid in my cupboard wearing a dress and disguised myself as a dress.
You wore a dress to disguise yourself. Very ingenious. I love it. Fantastic. So, as you grow up, especially when you're a teenager, you're constantly discovering new things about yourself. I remember one such moment as a teenager. As a youth group, we had gone to Oak Hall. I don't know if you know Oak Hall. It's a massive manor house in Oxford. And we played an epic game of hide and seek. And I found a little cupboard tucked away behind other things. I opened the cupboard up, and it was jammed full of stuff. But I thought there's a nice little gap there for me to crawl into. So I crawled into this cupboard. I put things in front of the cupboard so no one would ever find me. And if you've been to Oak Hall, you know how big it is, right? It was a massive game of hide and seek. It got pretty epic. And I crawled into this cupboard backwards because it was the only way I could get in, a bit like this. My bum's too big. Right, I don't know how dignified this is. I was in the cupboard like this, and I was completely surrounded, like completely blocked in this cupboard. And it was at that very moment I realised I have quite bad claustrophobia. And I couldn't get out because there was so much covered around me. I started to sweat loads, and I started to, you know when like panic rises up in you? I started to panic, and in the end I was shouting for help. And Matt Young came and started moving everything in front of me, and he grabbed my hand and like I literally had to pull me out of it. I'm just going to do the rest of the service from down here, I think. No, I'll come out. Right. Anyone here else got... Oh, no. Ooh. It's all right. The Bibles are holding the cloth down. Anyone else here got claustrophobia? A few of you, yeah. It's the fear of tight, small spaces, Alba. And that's what I discovered I had that moment in that hiding space. This was later confirmed years on when I was watching a TV show about caving, and they go and squeeze themselves into like ridiculously tight caves. I had to turn the TV off. I couldn't deal with it. When we hear, "you hem me in," maybe we get that feeling of claustrophobia, that sense of we can't get out, we can't move, we're not in control, and it overwhelms us. But I don't think that's what this image is about. "You hem me in" isn't about being stuck, being trapped, or feeling like we need to get out in some way. Or in that some way God is surrounding us, like an army surrounds a castle before it puts it under siege. Rather, I think this is an image a bit like this. This is Harry a few months ago. And when he gets out of the bath, he always puts his dinosaur towel on. Oh, look, Harry, it's you. He doesn't care. He always puts his dinosaur towel on, and we'll hug him and we'll help him dry off. The towel is on him, around him, wrapped up. It's not in an oppressive way. Instead, it offers comfort, softness, makes him feel safe and loved as we give him a hug. And I'm making the most of these moments because I'm pretty sure in a few years' time, he will not be wanting to do that. There's a real contrast in the imagery there. "You hem me in" is for me about knowing that we are lovingly held in God's arms, wrapped up in his love, peace, and mercy. It's an image of being truly known, truly loved by a God who sees through our Instagram filters of how we want to portray ourselves to the world. And that can be quite a vulnerable thing, feeling that thought of, oh, God truly knows what I'm like. But let's remember, we don't have a God who stingily gives out his love and mercy, but a God who lavishly pours out his love and mercy onto us. I love this passage in Romans 8. "Nothing in all creation will be able to separate us from the love of God. Not our sin, not our thoughts, not our actions, not the things that we think give us a barrier to God's love for us. Nothing can separate us from the love of God." We are going to, in true all-age style classic, we are going to have a quiz. Okay? And this is a quiz about women who have changed the world. And some of them are sitting in this room. So, we're going to have a church mum quiz. Okay, so on the screen, there's going to be a picture. So can you get into some groups around you? I don't mind what your groups are, but turn into some groups around you. You need to form a team. And on the screen will be a picture of our first... Okay, there we go. Jamie, you might need to hit the lights to help everyone see it a bit better. Okay, now, in your teams, I want you to try and work out who this is. Don't shout out. If you're feeling particularly confident that this person is here, maybe someone in your team can go and stand near them and point at them. Now, if you know who this is, as in you're the person who sent me the pictures and you're in the team, then you just need to stay stum, okay? But in your teams, if you think you know who this is, maybe get ready to say, or if you're feeling really confident, send someone in your team to go and stand near them and point at them. I'll give you a clue. This person is here this morning. Oh, we've got some pointers. Okay, let's have a few groups shout out. Who do you think this is? You think it's Alison Ritchie? Jane Tandy. Okay, let's go. Next slide. Let's see who it was. Anna Burrows. They were pointing, right area, very close. Okay, next person. Again, this person is in the room with us today. Okay, if you're feeling confident, go and point at someone who you think it is, unless you know who it is. Sarah Ingram seems to be popular. Okay, right, let's have a group shout out. Let's have a group shout out who you think it is. You think it's Emma, a couple of people think Emma Trim. Okay, let's click on and see who it was. It was Emma Trim. Okay, next one. This person isn't here this morning. At least I can't see them. But you'll definitely know who they are. I think this one's a bit trickier. Anyone want to guess? Anyone want to guess who this person is? Sorry? Shirley Biles. Let's see. Shirley Biles. There we go. Fantastic. Okay, next one. This person is here today. A few people are pointing at my mum. A lot of people are pointing at my mum. Okay, let's see who that is. Yes, it's my mum. Rocking the fringe. Right, who's this? This person is here today, and I have to say their daughter looks a lot like them. Okay, any a group want to shout out a guess? Your mum, Jessica. Okay, let's see if it is. Yes, that is Jess. Okay, here we go. I think this one is quite tricky. Although, when you know who it is, you can see it. Alice in Wonderland. I think she'd be quite happy with that. Anyone want to have a guess? Eva, what's your guess? Sorry? No, not Eleanor. No, that's a good guess, though. Let's have a look who this is. Sarah Ingram. There we go. And lastly, this person is here. Me. A black and white photo of me sitting in a skirt on a swing. When do you think I was born? Anyone want to have a guess of who this is? This person is in the room. Sarah Woods. No, not Sarah Woods. No, it's not Virag. This is, let's click on, AD. There we go. Anyone get them all right? Who got at least... Did anyone get 3 right? You guys at the back got 3 right. Anyone get 4 right? You got 1 right. Well, give yourselves a round of applause anyway. A quiz of women who, in their own way, have changed the world around us. Fantastic. I would like to tell you a true story. This is a picture on the screen of a guy called Morton T. Kelsey. He lived from 1917 to 2001, and I would like to share a bit of his story. He was born in Pennsylvania, in the USA, to parents who were more interested in partying than raising a child. His parents didn't want the hassle of looking after a small baby, and they were wealthy. So they employed a nanny, a young black lady called Clara. She was 14 at the time. Clara cared for Morton, looked after him, bathed him, changed him, sung to him, gave to him the love that his mother wasn't able or didn't want to give him. At the age of 3, his parents they had enough. They sent him off to boarding school at 3 years old and sacked Clara. Being a young black woman in Pennsylvania in the early 1900s, I imagine that was quite a life-altering experience for her. But they sent him off to boarding school, and a decade later, Morton's mum died, and his dad remarried, and without telling him, sold the family home and moved away. So when Morton came to leave school, when he came to that age to leave, he had nothing, no one. He felt completely alone and rejected in the world, and decided he didn't want to be here anymore. So he thought, I'm going to go up into this mountainside one last time. And when he got out into the wild, up onto the mountain, he found a spot to lie down, and he thought, I'm just going to look at the stars one last time. But as he lay there, looking at the stars, a tune came into his head. A beautiful tune. One that just wouldn't budge. And for some reason, it soothed him, made him feel loved and cared for. He says in a book he wrote that it began to fill him with joy and hope. And in that moment, he decided that he didn't want to die. And he walked down the mountainside and started a life for himself. He became a well-respected professor and author, and he lived a good life. Fast forward 70 years. Clara is in her late 90s and sitting on the porch of her house one day, and she's reading a newspaper. And she reads a story about a professor who had just retired. An accomplished professor who had done amazing things during his career. And she reads this bit about him, and she gets to the end, and underneath it says, Morton T. Kelsey. And she wonders to herself, is that the same Morton T. Kelsey that I looked after for 3 years, all those years ago? She decided to write to him. So she wrote to him, are you the same Morton T. Kelsey that was born in Pennsylvania in 1917? And he replied, yes, it's me. They managed to arrange a meeting, and he went over to her house and sat with her on her porch, and they shared stories together. They swapped their life stories. She showed him old photos, all crinkled up and faded, of them together when he was little. And it was in that moment he realized that his childhood hadn't been all about rejection, that there were moments of tenderness and love throughout it. So they share stories and have a great afternoon together. And as Morton's getting ready to go, Clara leans out and puts her hand on his arm and says, do you mind if I sing you a song that I used to sing you all the time when you were little? And she started singing this beautiful lullaby to him. And as she sung, Morton realized that this was the song that he had heard in his head that day on the mountainside. The song that had saved his life, the song that had brought hope and love into his life all those years ago. This is Morton's story, but it's also Clara's story of how an act of care and love that she did 70 years ago wasn't wasted. How could she have ever have known that the love she invested all those years ago would save a life, would change a life? No act of love is ever wasted. It might take 70 years for you to see the results of it, but it's never wasted. I wanted to share this story today because I know as mums, in every meaning of the word as mum, you pour yourself into investing in your child's life, and it's often a thankless thing. But be encouraged that these acts of love are never wasted, even if you never see the fruit of it, because the act of giving love itself is what draws us closer to God, who's the original source of love. So you hem me in is what you do for our kids, for your kids. You wrap them in tender love and care, imitating the very thing that God does for us. What a beautiful, life-changing thing. Thank you. We're going to spend a moment in prayer, and then I'm going to invite the worship group up to close our service in worship. So let's just pause for a moment and pray together. Lord, I thank you that because of you, because of your love, no act of love is ever wasted. Your great love works through time, works through the ages. And even though we may never see the fruit of it, thank you that the very act of loving ourselves draws us closer to you, to who you are. So I pray this morning that we feel encouraged, we feel uplifted, we feel inspired to go out into the world around us and to act out love to those around us, to our colleagues, to our friends at school, to our parents, to whoever we bump into in our day-to-day life. May we act out love, knowing that it draws us closer to you and knowing that it can make eternal, life-changing difference in people's life. And may we do so knowing that you are the original source of love. You are the original content creator. You are the original source of all life. Thank you that we can lean on you and know that we don't need to do this in our own strength, that we can lean on you, rely on your Holy Spirit to be with us as we go out into the world to proclaim your love and your glory and your life-changing grace to the world around us. Amen.